Hey guys, thanks for tuning in. Check it out. Today we're doing a boat. This is the Aquamarina Aircat 11 foot. So it's basically an inflatable, fully inflatable catamaran boat with an air floor as well. You gonna help me open it?
Open it?
Yep. Ready? So I had one of these boats in Hawaii. It was a little different. It was the full front enclosed boat. I also have this Bimini top right here that I bought for it. And this is the same kind of setup I did in Hawaii on that other boat, but I had to sell that one because we moved to the mainland. I'm gonna show you how to retrofit a Bimini top for shade on the Aircat. We're gonna go through everything with this, from the unboxing to setting it up here in the garage, and then we'll also see how it performs at the lake when we get over there. But anyway, here we go. Initial opening. Thanks, Taika. Good job, buddy. Wow. I like to do in-depth reviews too, so you guys know exactly what you're getting into when you buy something like this. I think this was right around 800 bucks. We have our oars that come in the kit. Huh? Yeah, that's the pump. Good job. We're gonna do that later. These are the paddles. The paddles that come with these kinds of boats are pretty cheapy, but at least you can break them down and they do work. They're actually called oars, right? But yeah, this guy knows paddles. Doesn't know what oars mean yet. Now, a lot of people say these pumps are really crappy. If you don't have a pump that's going to know the pressure, these are great for like topping it off, just maximizing the pressure. So you don't want to go more than 15 on the floor, and I think it was about 3.5 psi on the actual pontoons. Extra little seal in the box here. I'll have a couple of pumps that work well that are linked in the description if you want kind of an automatic powered pump. Next thing is the instruction manual. We have a little patch here. Now this is reinforced PVC. The last boat I had was PVC and that thing performed great. Even though I was unrolling it, deflating it, rolling it back up and transporting it, it worked fine. There were no leaks on that one. So as long as you take care of these things. So there's fabric inside of the PVC. So it's not like just like one of those cheapy like that. That's like an inflatable pool tube, right? Which has no fabric inside of it. These boats have fabric to reinforce it and really make it heavy duty. Tool for the valves. What's next, buddy? This one? Yeah, let's take it out. So this looks like the floor. So this is the thing that's going to inflate, and it's going to be kind of a semi-rigid floor. So you don't have to deal with like heavy floorboards and stuff. There we go. They're protecting their little brand insignia there. It looks pretty high quality. Just looking at the seams. Yeah, good job. Unroll it. Kind of be like one of those stand-up paddle boards where you put more high pressure and it almost feels like a rigid foam floor, but it just has high pressure air in it. Protection here for the valve. Recommended inflation 15 psi. We have one more thing. Anyway, here's the seat. There's the seat. So it's actually a painted wood. You can see the brackets here. Looks like the seat and the floor, you see how much room is in here. The seat and the floor will fit in this thing when you're actually rolling it up. As long as you deflate it and suck all that air out, you're gonna have room to put more stuff in. Even the pump looks like it'll fit in here. That feels itself right there about 50 pounds, 60 pounds. But what I plan to do is have this thing rolled up, collapsed. You can put it in the back of your 4Runner. You don't have to have a trailer, a hitch, you know. You don't have to have it precariously attached to your roof and stuff. You can just have it like in your car, in your trunk, in your back seat, whatever, all rolled up. And then you just have to do the manual labor to set it up. So that's the pump. We're gonna leave it there, okay? It took me about a half hour once I kind of got everything down and I had some help repeatedly setting up the other boat. So I'm assuming that this is gonna be right around a half hour setup once you're used to everything. All right, here we go. So here's the meat of the whole setup here. So here's the front, and then we're just gonna roll it. You wanna roll it, buddy? Help me roll it? Roll it. The cool thing about these portable boats is they still do have a hard wooden transom. So you can put, I think it's up to like a 10 horsepower motor on these guys. Good job. You want to kind of take note of how it's together for when you roll it up, when you're done, if you're going to store it like this. So you're just kind of doing the opposite when you deflate it and roll it up after use. Protective stuff in here, you know, keep it out of the sun when you're storing it. Just make sure you rinse off if you're using it in salt water. That's the pump. So guys, I'm gonna be using this electric pump here. It's just like a high-speed electric pump just to get the majority inflated, because with the pump they give you, yeah, you can do it, but it's gonna take a really long time. First thing you wanna do is you want to release all these valves so they are locked, and so no air is going to come out. So it looks like they come all open, so I'm just going to make sure they're kind of closed with that spring. With the pump they provide, I just wanted to show you a quick little example of how long it will take. So these are basically pop in and then clockwise. Okay, so the bottom guy here, which I had it on, is the deflate. So that's to suck the air out so you can store it really small. You want to put this thing on this side, and that's inflate. You ready, buddy? Good job. So it's just going to take you a lot longer doing it this way, but it is possible. I'd say you're going to save probably about a half an hour if you just get one of these electric pumps. I'm going to show you how to use that right now. So you can buy these pumps with, you know, battery built in, or with a lighter adapter to your car. This one used to be a lighter adapter, but since I have so many drones and RC stuff and so many batteries, I went ahead and just took my waterproof drone battery, and just so I have peace of mind, I have this little beeper on it that tells me if the voltage is too low while I'm pumping it. And then I just basically soldered on a XT60 connector on the end of this pump where the lighter adapter plug was. So I just keep one of these charged with me, and it will do about 2 deflates and inflates from just this one battery. Turning on. You can see how much faster this is, right? There we go. So we just want to give it its shape, but we want it soft so we can put that floor in before we pump everything up hard. Taking these pipes out, you see how no air is coming out as long as you have this thing backed off. If you push it, air is going to come out. We have our little bow rope here. This is great. It's a pretty heavy duty rope for holding on to in the boat or pulling it around out of the water, or tying it off at like a dock or something. You got it? Put it over on that box, please. Cool. Yep. Go. All right, so that's literally about a minute or two it takes with an electronic pump like that. You're beginning to see the size of the boat too. I mean, 11 foot, that's great. I think my other boat was 10 feet. So this gives us another foot of length. So I can fit up to 5 people in this thing. Kind of lined up with the drain here. And let's just inflate this floor. See how it's pushing that thing out? Oops. See, that's what happens if you don't back these things off before you start. I had that pushed in and that thing just deflated like that when I took this out. Okay. Tuck it down in below the pontoon. We could have probably inflated these pontoons a little bit more. I'm going to pump it up to its maximum pressure now. So guys, I'm looking at the top number is the PSI, the bottom number is the bar. So I want to be just below 15. I found out early on that you can take out this plug, and that makes it kind of a one pump deal where you can just suck in air. And for this high pressure floor, it kind of gets hard to pump when you're pumping both ways. So you pop this plug out and you can really just push down on it with it being easy coming up like this. Right on it in the lake, in the water? Yeah, go fishing. Yep. I need to put that seat on before I pump that other one up. For added integrity, I'm going to have the seat probably in the front. You can get another seat if you want to, but for now we're going to see how one seat works up here. This tab right here is just going right under this flap. There we go. Give you a view of that from below. You see how those tabs are just all the way under these straps right here, and you want to make sure those are seated nicely before you continue your maximum pump. It looked a little off from the front. It was a little lopsided. The floor was a little higher on this side. So it looks like this is what you're going to need to do with this floor, is if it doesn't seat all the way under the pontoon, you're going to need to step on it with 1 foot and kind of pull the pontoon up. See that? So the floor is wedging under there really nice and tight before you completely inflate the pontoons. That looks like it's going to be really important for integrity. Yeah, definitely universal. It just depends on what you want to see on the oar. You don't want to put this on pretty tight. You don't want these falling off in the water. See how that works? There's a little bit of play here, so while you're rowing, you have that rowability and that play. Boy, that is super tight. Anyway, you're probably going to want to have them folded down so you have more room to sit up here. You're not sitting on this guy there, but that's how they go on. All right, guys, there's our boat. It looks bigger in person. Let's get to this Bimini top. Glue the brackets on. I got to figure out exactly where I want to put them. Set this thing on and remove it when we need to roll it up, and we can have some shade. This is one of those kits where it's shipped in a long box. You just kind of put it together yourself. Comes with good instructions. They don't really come with soft boat connections, so I bought some soft boat patches I gotta kind of glue on. I find it kind of easy to just put the oars on, so you can use the oars as like a template. This is probably the hardest part of it, because I want it to have shade for all passengers as much as possible. There's literally no other D-rings to attach anything except for 2 holes in the transom, so I'm probably gonna have to do that. But just to set up where I want to put the patches, the attachment patches for this, I'm just gonna clip it on and kind of have the clip kind of hold it in place, you know what I mean? And slide it back and forth. If you are, for some reason, going to be boating with it down and collapsed and not off, you want it to go past the motor. And it looks like that will shoot past my little motor. As we're mounting the motor, check out all the specs on the boat there. 5 passenger, can hold 1,100 pounds, and you can have a 10 horsepower motor. This is the motor I'm using, the E-Propulsion Spirit 1.0. I bought a couple years ago in Hawaii, shipped it over. These things are great because they're all electric, about 3 horsepower, so you're not going to be scooting anywhere very quick, but they have a lot of torque. They work perfect for this kind of boat. This portion here, the motor and the shaft and the handle, that's 20 pounds. This battery right here, 1 kilowatt battery, this is 20 pounds. So we got basically 40 pounds all together, and all you do is pop it on like that, screw your cord in, and you're set to go. Okay guys, so it's time to glue on these little Bimini mounts. Now these are the ones I got. They're PVC. I just ordered them online. As usual, I'll have all the links down in the description of everything I'm using in this boat build. Probably the best glue that I've found, and it's a PVC vinyl cement specifically made for this kind of material that's going to really kind of weld it together so it's sturdy, just like the patches and mounts that they put on from the factory. Right about in this location is where it seems like it's going to give good shade for the seat right here, just about here. And also it's going to cover the back area where I'm going to sit to drive it. Just about there is where this thing's going to live. And before you kind of glue this thing on, we need to deflate these a bit. Kind of warns to not to deflate them one at a time, just because there's going to be too much pressure on the joints. Push them both at the same time with my finger. What this glue does is it kind of melts the material into each other, right? So I don't want to really have it pressurized too much, or else it could like pop or something. I have just some regular rubbing alcohol here, so I'm just going to clean this whole area right here on the raft, just so there's no possibility for contamination and it doesn't get a good glue bond. Cool. I'll let that dry for a few minutes. Okay guys, so once we're all dry, it's pretty runny, so be careful with this thing. You want to kind of brush it on both surfaces. So I'm going to brush it on the Bimini mount first. I want to get in all the surfaces that are going to touch, even around the edges, really good. So we're going to let that dry for a couple minutes, and while that's drying, we're going to paint this area on the boat. What I probably should have done was outline it with some pencil or something, but I didn't, so I'm going to eyeball it here. This doesn't have to be perfect. I mean, it's going to meld into the PVC anyway. It's okay if there's a little overshot. You can kind of see it start to haze over. It says just for about 3 to 5 minutes. That looks good right there. Just kind of pushing on. You might want to actually deflate this entirely because you'll get a little bit more backing on it. You can see as I'm pushing it down, I don't really have the backing. Anytime you glue something on these kinds of boats, they need to dry for, the bottle says about 24 hours before you can blow your boat back up and use them. Same thing like we did before. When you have the Bimini top on, you want these to fold back like this. So I put that one on the wrong way. I put it like this, so it's going to interfere if you ever wanted to put your Bimini top down. The tube right here is going to interfere with the lock that this goes in. Hopefully you can learn from my mistakes and just really make sure that your patches are on the right direction. Let's just do a little outline on this. Man, I hate it when I do that. I was just concentrating on filming and I just put that one on backwards. That happens a lot, guys. If you watch my videos, behind the scenes, stuff like that, it's just like you're thinking about something else. Use your cloth that you did your alcohol with and you can just quickly wipe off any spills. All right. I did buy a few of those D-rings that you can attach and glue on, attach, you know, stuff if you want to. So probably see where I need those later. This is 12 patches. I think I got this for like 10 bucks. Again, I'll have the links in the description, guys, but these are stainless steel rings and you can see how they multi-layer the material. Looks like it's going to be real durable. It's the morning now and we're not leaving till the afternoon tomorrow, so that should be a good over 24 hours for this thing to set up. This is the right one, guys. That's why you want to put it the right direction so the Bimini pole can lay down nice and flat, versus the one I put on backwards. See what happens? As it tries to go down and it kind of smashes the little notch. You know, the oar locks hold it up anyway, so not too much of a deal, big deal there. This bad boy is ready for the water. Okay guys, at the lake, and check out the setup. Here it is, the Aquamarina Aircat. We've been camping for about 2 days. Hey Taika. We're gonna take this thing out and I'm just gonna kind of talk about the pros and the cons of the boat, and you can kind of see the whole setup right here before we go out. I got just a solar panel. This is like a 200 watt solar panel strapped to the top. That's kind of charging the battery while we use the motor throughout the day. So a great thing to have. The Bimini top, as you can see, it's doing pretty good. It's solid enough for this situation. I'll have all the links in the description to this stuff, guys. Definitely must do is a padded seat bag on the one seat they give you with the craft. Of course, remember, you can get another seat if you want, but it gets kind of crowded in here if you have too much stuff, and you can always just sit on the sides. We went ahead and put this inner tube. This is the Ozark Trail, it's called a water hammock. This thing is great because it can hold like 800 pounds. It's got a mesh in the bottom. We've been pulling this around the lake, and keep in mind, this is like only a 3 horsepower motor, so it's not going anywhere fast, but it's great to have the kids back here fishing or whatever, and then you can have a few people in the boat as well. Anyway, let's get this thing out in the water, and I'm going to talk about more of the pros and cons while we're out here, and we'll just do a little bit of a ride. You can see how easy this thing just kind of pushes around on the water. It's super nimble and light, which is always nice for a portable boat like this. Bye guys. Bye Taika. Cool. So here it is with just me in it. You can see the tube back there. You know, like I said, this is like maximum speed with this motor. And again, this is the short shaft. I kind of have to sit in the back here for it not to like cavitate. And this is where I'm going to talk about a few of the pros and cons, guys. As you can see, the sunshade Bimini top, just perfect. You really want to put something like this on when you're buying an item like this. And hopefully I kind of showed you how to customize, put these little patches on. Again, I'll have them below the video so you guys can see all the parts I'm using in this boat. I just kind of have a tow rope setup, which works really well. I pulled all 4 of my kids, which was probably about around 500 or 600 pounds. And you know, it kind of bogs, but it's still, as long as you have calm seas, it kind of does the job. Let me talk about a couple of the cons. So first con we noticed is we were fishing, and today we just noticed this floor leaking in 2 locations. And I think that's because we dropped a couple of white bass that have those really pokey spines on them. I don't know if you can see those bubbles coming out, but I just tried to put like a patch on it while we were out in the water. That didn't work, of course, because it was all wet. We're finding the cons on this is the first inflatable floor craft, high pressure floor craft I've had. If you have to kneel on it, it's great because it's nice and soft. But we're finding the cons where it's going to puncture pretty easily. Luckily, the pontoons though, no problem whatsoever. They haven't lost any air, no leaks. They're holding really strong, and it's best just to sit on them like this. If you have a little motor in your boat, this is the kind of the way to do it. After I patch these holes when I get home, we're gonna do something like a rubber top mat on here, just so there's some damper between the pressurized floor and, you know, like spikes and scales and hooks or something. So anyway, just wanted to talk about that, and that's really the major con on this. Everything else is as expected. It floats really well. One of the main differences you'll notice with a cat is it kind of keeps the middle floor off of the water, and it's just riding on the 2 side pontoons, right? So you have less drag. Actually, there's one more con. Okay, so you see that drain plug down there? This motor doesn't really go fast enough to have it excavate water. If you go fast, you take out the back drain plug, and it has a one-way valve in there. So I tried it twice when we were taking on some water just from people getting in the front. Pro and a con. It's easy to get in the front, but it also takes on water unless you really have people back here weighing it down, because once somebody tries to get out of the water up on that, it'll kind of like suck a little bit of water in. So anyway, I was trying to like go fast like this on full throttle. I took out that drain stopper, and it seemed like it might have been releasing a little bit of water. I did that twice throughout the day. And the second time I did it, the little one-way valve insert, it's just like a rubber flap that has a middle point. That whole thing just pulled out when I pulled the stopper out. So now I have no one-way valve in there. So that's kind of really the only other con, aside from it being a small boat. Remember, there's 4 chambers. So even if you get a puncture in one, you can go, uh-oh, let's head in. One of the other things that's different than a single hulled boat versus a catamaran style like these inflatables is the turning's a little different. It does turn quick. You see how quick that turns? So it can turn very fast, but what you'll notice is the boat stays flat. On my other boat I had in Hawaii, which was a single hull, it was an inflatable keel, right? So it had the aluminum floor, and then the keel on the bottom of the aluminum pulled the floor into a V. And I remember on that boat, it would really like tilt when you turned hard. This doesn't tilt at all. It's just staying flat and then turning. And I'd really recommend, guys, if you can, this is the e-Propulsion Spirit 1.0. I love this motor. I mean, it's not gonna win you any races. They do have a few more models now that are higher power if you wanted to. But it's great because the battery just goes on top. It kind of has the regular motor look and configuration. And then you just get their charge controller. With this charge controller that came from ePropulsion, I can give it a solar panel that has a 35 volt max and a 10 amp max output. And so I have this 200 watt solar panel that's just right around 8 or 9 amps, I believe. I could probably do a little bit of configuration changes on these tie ropes and make it a little more secure. And this is really all you need. I mean, you don't have to lug a big boat around. You can put this right up on the shore without hurting it. And remember, they have several different sizes of these. I think they have 2 or 3. This is the largest of the size you can get from them. But honestly, it's performing great. Aside from those couple of cons, you just have to also keep in mind how to distribute your weight. I would have to keep telling my son, Kian, sit back here, when my wife and like Taika or one of my daughters was sitting up there. And you know, that's kind of a given on a small boat like this. It's just how it is. Honestly, this is a keeper for me. This is gonna be our family lake boat since I live in the Southwest now. I love how quiet these electric motors are. You don't have to be bothered. I mean, I'll hear like speedboats go by and it's like, man, that thing is so loud. A setup like this with an electric motor, pop a solar panel up there. We're camped way over there on the beach, the sandy beach, and I just pulled it up on shore. Easy to carry around. Basically, me and my son, with this thing loaded as it is, I can grab the front, he can grab the back, not even have to drag it and pull it up on the beach next to our vehicles. Anyway, guys, aside from those little cons, this is how it performs. Just remember those couple of precautions that I told you about, and I think that floor is going to be a really needed fix to like somehow guard it. I've kind of done this twice now, so I kind of know what works for peripherals. Bimini top, the brackets, even these things work so awesome because they're just pull pins. So they're so easy to just push in. They're not sharp at all, so it's not going to hurt anybody. And they all just kind of hang out on the Bimini top. Everything is collapsible, rollable. This is the one from Newport Vessels. And I had this one in the ocean in Hawaii, and man, this is just a great bag. Only thing about this seat bag here is it doesn't seem to be waterproof anywhere. So you are gonna wanna have like a dry bag that you roll up and put in here, and a ton of storage. It doesn't look like it, but that's storing all of my life vests, all of my safety equipment, and then a bunch of boxes of lures and all that kind of stuff. And then we usually just have a little cooler right here in the middle. But yeah, guys, hope you enjoyed that review, and I will see you in the next one.